bravo to Steven and Jerry, because remember, they were criticized for trading Micah Parsons away. But when you look at what they turned that deal into, now, the here and now, no question, great move by them.
I will say Micah Parsons did some stuff as well in that first course of our meal here on Thanksgiving, but the way that it pivoted and now have those picks moving forward, we'll see what it looks like in the years to come, because this year, it again might be too little too late. Sportsline projections still just giving them a 22% chance of making the playoffs when you look at what's going on in the NFC North and what's going on in the NFC West. When we look at the Kansas City Chiefs, guys, if I was told that Patrick Mahomes would throw for 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, they scored twice on 4th and goal, I'd tell you this is a Chiefs team that probably won the football game, Mac. Where are you seeing the disconnect right now?
They can't get the necessary stops. To your point, they played well enough on the offensive side to win this ball game, but they had mental miscues. 10 penalties for 119 yards. That's not Andy Reid-like football. Then defensively, anytime Dak Prescott needed a play, he had 5-star wide receivers in CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So for the first time in quite some time, Steve Spagnuolo had an issue in terms of talent at the covering position, at the cornerback position, because it was just solely their man was beating their one-on-one matchups in the Dallas Cowboys. In critical moments, especially in the fourth quarter, when you look at Kansas City, when they scored that touchdown to go down 3, you need one stop. You need one stop. And guess what they did? Went to that old faithful slant route. And George Pickens created a move at the line of scrimmage. Voila, first down, converted. So that was the glaring issue I saw watching the Kansas City Chiefs, because like I said, we saw some moments where their offense was a bit stagnant, but they came and they fought back. When you're down 3 points, we've seen how many times they get the necessary stops, right? It didn't happen tonight, and bravo to the Dallas Cowboys, because their talent lived up to the billing.
It's another loss in another one-score game, 1-5 in such games this season after winning their 17 prior. When you take a look at that and you move it forward, Emery, according to Sportsline, a 46% chance to still make the playoffs in the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Houston, it's the Chargers, it's Tennessee, it's Denver, it's Vegas. How should you feel coming off of this performance when you lick the wounds for a moment, but got to get back to work?
Well, you still trust Patrick Mahomes in the passing game. I was super impressed by how the receivers went out there and did their thing. We talk about Hollywood Brown making a big play in the back of the end zone. We talk about Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice was out there breaking tackles, making plays. So the passing game is fine. What worries me, though, is what we saw today along the offensive line. This offensive line was banged up coming in and got even more banged up as a result of this ball game. And so now you're going to be weaker up front in the trenches. You won't be able to run the football consistently, although Pacheco coming back definitely made a difference. They had some sparks.
Houston's pass rush against a dinged up offensive line.
That's a bad matchup.
It's a problem for everybody.
Exactly. And on the other side of the ball, it blew my mind that Cooper Beebe was out there just dominating Chris Jones. Like, a lot of those big runs that Javonte Williams had in crucial situations came right down that A-gap where Beebe was able to wash and turn and get him up out the way consistently. So they have to get better in the trenches, more so in the offensive line, because you talked about that gauntlet they have coming up. Chargers have the ability to get pressure. Houston has the ability to get pressure. They're going to have to be able to protect Patrick Mahomes. Otherwise, they'll be in shootouts like we saw today. And a lot of times, you may just run out of ammo.
When belief meets execution, you start to get results. And that's what we've seen for the better part of a decade now from the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the seedlings of what we're seeing right now with the Dallas Cowboys. How do you put that belief into words? This is as big as the stage gets, Mac. This is the most watched window on the highest of football holidays, and you take down what has been the long-standing dynasty in the NFL. What does this moment mean to Dallas?
They could be a championship caliber team if they were to get into the playoffs. They legit could have a strong shot to hoist the sticky Lombardi if they get into the playoffs. Over the last 2 weeks, they've beaten Jalen Hurts, who won the Super Bowl last year, and then tonight, Pat Mahomes, who won the Super Bowl the year before. You look at the Super Bowl winning coaches they've beaten as well. So this is a team in terms of shoddy. They believe in their head coach and they love their head coach. So the talent that we're seeing has become more consistent. And we're not seeing the mental mishaps that we've seen in years past in terms of bad penalties, just shooting themselves in the foot. So this is what this is telling me. It feels like what I was a part of my rookie year in 2005 when our backs was against the wall going all the way back to week 11 and we had to win out. And when we hit that stride and the confidence that we displayed, We knew we were going to shake up a lot of things in the playoffs if we got in. And when we got in, the rest is history. And I see the same thing kind of circulating with the Dallas Cowboys right now. Dak Prescott is making the plays. He's not messing things up. They're not finding ways to win. I mean, to lose. They're finding ways to win. That's very, very encouraging.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It made me go back to what we did where who has the edge. And it was crazy because we're talking about Kansas City, and we just kept coming up with Dallas Cowboys. They have the edge here. And we knew the offense was right there. And a lot of those matchups, we could have just said it's a push. They both have good receivers, good O-line or whatnot. But when they got to the defense, that defensive line, the linebackers, and the Dallas Cowboys building the right way and playing their best ball now on the back end of the season, it makes for an exciting time. If they do get that 7th seed, man, you got to like some of the matchups that they have the rest of the way.
I know not the mathematical reality of this 60 minutes of football, but it had all the feelings of an elimination game. Their next one will as well. Thursday night football. It's the Cowboys. It's the Lions in Detroit. We saw both of these teams here on Thanksgiving. Emery, when you put those two teams, with all that's at stake, on the same football field across one another, it sort of looks like teams that are mirroring one another right now and what they do well in their points of strength. What do you see when you pit those two against one another?
I see Jared Goff's jersey on the back end of the ground a lot because we saw him take a lot of hits from Micah Parsons, which tells me their offensive line has had some issues, and Dallas is coming in with Quentin Williams so that the interior pressure opens things up for guys from the outside. So I see a game that kind of mirrors what we saw the Packers and Lions play, and the Chiefs and Cowboys for that matter. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, a short point spread in my opinion. So I think that one will look a lot like what we watched today, which makes it so much fun because we are now in elimination mode once again, because this will be an official playoff elimination game between Detroit and Dallas.
And if you're a Cowboys fan, you got to like your chances, because what we watched today, to your point, Emery, the offensive line had issues protecting Jared Goff, and we know he is not the quarterback that can do damage working from a lot of chaos. He needs to be protected the right way. Secondly, what's the status of Amon-Ra St. Brown? Of course, J-Mo went off, had a great game, but they're better with Amon-Ra and J-Mo doing damage, and their defense has been a bit vulnerable. And when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys offensively, I can care less who you have on the defensive side. They're going to put up points. They're going to do numbers. Javonte's running the football well. We talked about the receivers, the pass catchers. I mean, this is a team that is thriving in the right moment. November football is about two things in terms of the elements and the DNA of these teams. Either you're thriving or you're surviving. The Dallas Cowboys right now, they're thriving and they see the moment. And I think they really love this mentality of playing with our backs against the wall in this playoff format that they're currently in, because it's making them show their best hand week in and week out. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Like I said, guys, if they happen to get into the playoffs, this is not the team you want to see. Not with this high-level quarterback and these high-level pass catchers and the coaching. This is a team that really believes. They believe.
Star.
Yeah, he got real intimate with that turkey.
Speaking of intimate, you know what? Nate is just unbelievable. Pre-game show, he picked the exact score that would be the final score. Here it is.
So I know they're going to try to light up the skies. I feel like Pickens is going to make a big play. CeeDee Lamb is going to step up. He needs to show up for his team. I got the Dallas Cowboys winning this one, in a close one, 31-28. Nostradamus strikes again, baby.
Good call on that.
Thank you, brother.
The receivers having big games.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Stepped up. Well done, Nate.
Thank you. Yeah, and Pickens, I'll tell you this. Listen, CeeDee Lamb, he did show up. He said, my next game will be my best game. He's had some drops, but man, was he sure-handed today. But George Pickens, mark my words, in a matter of time, he will be not a good complimentary 1B or 1A. He will be one of the best receivers in the league. He's just scratching the surface.
But a smart move for the quarterback to get CeeDee Lamb in early.
Absolutely. Coming off the game that he had the previous week, and then to get somebody going, right? This is where I think Dak is on the next level of his career. It's the ability to manage the guys around you, to understand the personalities, and to get your playmakers the ball. And we look at these guys today. George Pickens, 13 targets, 6 catches, 88 yards. I hit on that FanDuel, Nate.
Yeah, good job.
Then we got CeeDee Lamb, 7 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. But Dak, Dak, to me, was the story of this football game. And it's not only because of the numbers, it's the end of the game as well. If you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, we saw Patrick coming back in that game, make some spectacular plays, the scramble to the right, the big play down the field. You've got to close them out, and you've got to finish the game with the ball in your hands.
Valid.
Dak did an excellent job at the end of that ball game.
Yeah, I think for the Kansas City Chiefs, this is about penalties. I mean, they sat there, they had 5 defensive interference penalties, and also the blitz. Dak against the blitz, 15 and 19. Outside of that first series, he did not flinch at all. They could not get any pressure on him. And you think about the Kansas City Chiefs a year ago. Very good in one-score games, 12-0. This year, they are 1-6, and then they're 1-5 on the road.
Yes.
So they have no margin of error. They got to win out, in my opinion, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they got to win out, and it's going to be a tough road. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. On the flip side, like Tracy said, you got the Cowboys beating both the Eagles and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. Now you're getting into the latter parts of November and December. If they close this thing out and they continue to play the way they're playing, and like you said, Dak Prescott, we're not saying it enough, and you have been saying it. He is playing some of his best football. Not just the way he's delivering the rock, but how he's moving and negotiating the pocket with his feet and then getting the ball out.
And there was a lot of news made at the beginning of the season for Dallas Cowboys trading Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Quinton Williams coming back
Yes.
and Overshawn coming back. That
Logan
defense is
Wilson.
really playing good football right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, their defense is playing well. I mean, they're humming right now. And you know what? They're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Nate overheard me talking back in the dressing room. I guess
Today. And when I look at this game, I see this as a clash of cultures. You look at Dallas, they're trying to establish the culture. Brian Schottenheimer trying to establish that. And you don't have to look at Chiefs. They're going to rely on the culture that they've established the last handful of years. They have been the standard in the NFL for that. Last week, that was on display. A really gutty comeback win versus the Colts. So today, on one of the great days in our American culture, we're going to see if the emerging Dallas Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer culture or the Kansas City Chiefs established culture is going to come out on top.
Yeah, this game is all about the stars, and the two brightest are the quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, I'm playing in his first NFL Thanksgiving game. You know he's ready to show up and show out. And on the other side, Dak Prescott. I mean, this guy at home throughout his career putting up 30 points a game on offense. But big picture, though, this is about the win. I mean, one win, and you are back in the thick of it. You lose, another loss, then you're on the outside looking in. People at home, you might have a fork in your hand, but for these two teams, this is a fork in the road.
And the game within the game, the matchup I'm looking at is going to be this #1 offense of the Dallas Cowboys. How does Steve Spagnuolo and the defense stop it? You're talking about George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams. But then one way of slowing down this offense is for Kansas City to get back to running the football. They ran it 41 times last week. They get Isaiah Pacheco back with Kareem Hunt, a 1-2 punch right there.
Yeah.
And they got to be able to control the time of possession. And also in the last 2 weeks, they got to be able to score touchdowns, not kick field goals once they get inside the red zone.
Yeah.
nothing wrong with running the ball, Bill. You said it's a what, Bill?
It's a mindset, Jim.
A mindset. All right, we'll see if they do that. Hey, folks, earlier today, two-time Emmy Award-winning Tracy Wolfson catching up with Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott.
First off, Dak, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, you're coming off a massive win over the Eagles, but still a lot still to play for.
Sure.
So what in terms of this game